My name is Jesse Day. I'm a regional planner with the Piedmont Triad Council of Governments. In a month or so, we'll be the Piedmont Triad Regional Council. And Mark, let the average Joe know I'm a league cycling instructor. We can teach them a bicycle safety class so you get that helmet on straight.
Looks like it's important.
But I'm here to talk about Healthy Communities Work Group. Today's the kickoff, but the Healthy Communities Work Group has been meeting a couple times already. And the reason we sort of fast-tracked it, there's a grant opportunity to look at health impact assessments in the state as a nationwide grant opportunity. So we kind of formed our group relatively quickly, and that's why we've met a couple times. We've gotten some good work to do. So I'm going to bring you down into the weeds a little bit and show you what one of these work groups has come up with so far. I mentioned that grant that we applied for. A couple members of the working group are here today. Not only do we provide a support letter to the health department for this grant application to CDC, but we also provided them some ideas on a health impact assessment and said, why don't you do one in the Triad? And I'll explain health impact assessment in just a second. Beth McGee-Huber is here from the Greensboro Housing Coalition, offers some ideas on housing and health impact assessments, and Professor Otuka, industrial engineering professor at A&T, provided some ideas on industrial design. So our work group has provided that support letter and some feedback on the grant. We'll hear back in about a month. We've got draft vision and goals started. We've had one facilitated discussion. We'll keep working on that. And then a GIS database framework that I'll get into in just a second and touch a little bit on. I heard what's termed a food desert over here. I'll show you a graphic of grocery stores and whatnot in Guilford County, something that we're thinking about trying to do for the region. So the first thing I want to talk about briefly is what is a health impact assessment? Any of you here heard of a health impact assessment? Okay, so a fair number here, great. So we've already got the word out, and the state health department's been talking about this for a while and has been working with some local communities and done some trainings on that. Bottom line is that health impact assessment is kind of a different way to understand what policies or projects maybe outside the health department has an effect on human health. And so it's just that way of understanding it. Maybe it resonates differently with the public, gives them a better opportunity to understand the impact that'll be on the community, on their own individual health. So there's 5 steps to it, definitely a process to it. And the process is designed to say, okay, is this project worthy of a health impact assessment? Sometimes it's not, so maybe you just skip that portion. But certain projects may fit for health impact assessment. And the Center for Disease Control has about 125 health indicators, the data behind the health impact assessment out there on their website if you want to get more information. I don't have the specific link, but you can Google it to get there. And real briefly, these have been more popular outside of the United States. There's been about, California's been doing a lot, especially with housing and transportation and energy. So those are the 3 areas that the United States has worked on, but you can do all sorts of other different health impact assessments on agriculture, energy, environment, housing, mining, noise, social welfare, things of that nature. So shifting gears a little bit back to what the work group has been coming up with, some of the draft vision and goals is we want to use health impact assessments in a couple of years, maybe incorporate that into the decision-making process. Do that first screening and scoping. Does this project or policy fit a health impact assessment? Talking about accessible local food for all populations. Two counties are working on a mobile farmers market. Looking at funding to create a mobile farmers market to maybe go into those food deserts, have a food stamp vendor or ATM type machine at the farmers market so that folks that are using food stamps can afford to go to the farmers market. I'll talk about the database resource in a second, and then just more policies that support that local food distribution, recreation access, and tobacco-free environments. So these are some of the ideas that we've come up with. We want more people involved in the work group. About the database, It's really, we want to get a picture of health and the built environment in the region. We've got pieces here and there, and I'll get into what Guilford County's done. Co-chair of the working group, Mark Smith, is a epidemiologist with Guilford County Health Department, has helped kind of put this database framework together. You can see some of the inputs we're talking about putting in there. And we're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. The Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, in some of the granting communities, Montgomery County is an example of a community area that the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation is working with in our area. And they've created a nationwide database inputting data from some of their regions. So we've got something to work from and build from and compare to as we move through building this database. And just one point to keep in mind, I worked on a regional trail plan for the Piedmont Triad recently. It is really a big task to try to aggregate data on a regional level. We're all dealing with that in the different work areas that we're doing. So that's something we're going to be cognizant of as we try to design this database, garbage in, garbage out type of thing. So just want to show you a few graphics. Mark Smith put these maps together, and talking about maybe some of the inputs we're going to put in fitness centers. Where are those located? And in the dark area are census tracts with lower poverty, and light areas are less poverty. Our fitness centers located, they're generally located in the better off areas, so that affects physical activity. Where are the farmers markets? I don't have the poverty data up there right now, but could there be other areas to go? The mobile farmers market, I think, is a great idea, and I hope that takes off. And so maybe that can serve some of those underserved areas. Now, if you remember where those poverty tracts were, there are not many grocery stores or supermarkets located in those areas. And big difference between supermarket and your local Star Market or corner store in terms of those healthy options that you have there. So blue are just your basic grocery stores, and your red is your full service supermarkets with more food options. Not those areas, and that shows you this is not poverty now. This is mortality rates related to obesity-related diseases, and they're generally correlated with the higher poverty areas and where there's a lack of supermarkets. So I just wanted to give you an introduction to that, and that's sort of what we're thinking about on a regional scale is what is some of the data we want to collect, aggregate, and give it to our working group members, the Healthy Carolinians, the health department folks working on the local level, to give a picture of what is a picture of health and built environment in their county, and how does that fit into the region, and then work from there in terms of establishing policies on more farmers markets or some of those other ideas that we've talked about so far that are going to come through different elements of this larger plan. So I'll wrap it up just saying what we're hoping to do. I mentioned we want to expand participation across the region, so we're asking for more folks. So when we break up for work groups, if you're interested in healthy community working groups, talk to me or Mark Smith, who's sitting back there, co-chairing the committee. We're going to continue work on that regional GIS database, prioritize our goals so they fit into and are more realistic as we talk about the broader plan and then create that action for those top priorities. The next meeting will be June 2nd. We don't have a location yet. There's contact information.
It's just
all right, now it's your turn to get up and actually start working with this. What we want to do over the next 30 minutes is ask folks to align themselves with one of the working groups that we have formed. And as you're doing that, you have something in your seat. Everyone got a sheet that talks about the expectations for the work groups and that gives some explanation of the work groups. Now, you may or may not have had time to think about this very much this morning. But one thing that I do want to stress from you, because we've heard a lot about a lot of different topics, But if you're interested, and I'll just use transportation for example, if you're interested in transportation or mobility systems, you might want to be part of that group. But you might also really need to realize that transportation also plays an impact on our housing policies and our development pattern, and whether or not we have healthy communities. So just because your interest might lie in housing, don't run to Bill McNeil necessarily, although Bill McNeil is a great guy. But think about how housing might impact energy. If you have an energy efficient home, then you are being more sustainable. So as you're aligning yourself with one of these working groups, keep that in mind. This sustainability stuff, if it hasn't come together for you already, I hope it's starting to cut across all these very complex types of issues. Now, is Cy here? No. Is someone to replace Cy? No. I will be Cy. Okay? And where am I going to be at? I am going to be right over here in this corner. Support systems is about sort of the hard infrastructure, water and sewer, could be roads in terms of highways, but those sort of hard infrastructure type items. The Healthy Communities group is going to be right over here in this corner. You saw Jesse earlier. Mark, stand up and raise your hand. You got to be known. There he is, Mark Smith. So those two guys are going to be over here. If you're thinking about the development pattern and the way we develop our communities, Paul Norby, please stand, raise your hand, and Paul Crone are going to be, where's number 3? They're going to be right over here by this door. Housing, Bill McNeil. Bill, raise your hand, stand up something. Number 4, Bill is going to be over here by the map. Okay? Number 5, mobility system. Dick Hales, which you met earlier, and Hannah Cockburn, standing back there in the back. They're going to be back over here in one of these front round tables. Economic and workforce development, Kathleen Patterson, back there in the back. Number 6 is going to be back there with the tables as well. Climate adaptation is not Tyler Meyer, but is Drew Spilodius. And Drew is going to be in the boardroom. There is a room that is out the main doors that you came in, straight across the hallway lobby, and there's a boardroom over there, and y'all are going to be there. And then Kyle Laird, who is right back there. Green infrastructure, that's your greenways, your stormwater systems, things of that nature. Kyle is going to be, weather permitting, and it looks like it is, out here on the patio. So has everybody kind of got that straight? I'm going to leave this up here as you're getting together. Now, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when you find your work group? You're going to introduce yourselves. If nothing else, and we tried to be sustainable by having you bring your own name tags, but it looks like we got a good start. But you got name tags. It's very important that we know who each other is. If we're going to operate as a region, and we're going to build upon our communities and our assets, we have to know who we are. So you need to introduce yourselves. The work group leaders are going to go over the work group objectives and tasks. Then I want each of the work group members to not only introduce themselves, but talk about what sort of skills and talents and what you do in your daily life, or maybe even your personal life is your daily life too, but your work life and your personal life that you can bring to this effort. And then I want you to have an attempt to set a date for your first work group meeting. So we've got 30 minutes to get this accomplished. On your mark, get set, go.